Hello and welcome to episode 250 of the Epic Film Challenge. Awesome. Can't believe I've actually been going this long. And I wanted to do something special for this episode, but I just haven't got the time. You know, episode 100 I reviewed 2001: A Space Odyssey. Episode 50 I reviewed The Goonies. So two really awesome films. And then for episode 150 I did something really cool, and I made a montage featuring a clip from every single film we'd watched up until that point. One of my favourite videos. I thought it was really cool. It took me too long though. I don't think I'll be doing that one again. So you can check that out here. As you can see, all the films there. It's on my other channel, so I don't get stung by the copyright. And then for episode 200, we reviewed the film Troll, and used clips from the film, did something a bit different. And again, you can have a look at that here. I'm really proud of that one actually. It's not amazing, and it's kind of in the style of James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd, but you know, it was a cool experiment, and maybe we'll do another one in the future. But for episode 250, I'm just reviewing a film, but it is kind of cool because it is the first and likely only time in the Epic Film Challenge that I have watched a film for the Epic Film Challenge on VHS. Oh yes, I should probably take these stickers off. As you can see there, Oxfam. I bought this from a charity shop 3 years ago, and it is, well, before we get to what it is, in the summer of 2009, you know, I went through this really weird obsession with buying VHS tapes. I've got like maybe 200-300 of them now, but they were going so cheap, like 10p a piece. You know, you could pick up like 10 films for like £1, and I'd go in with like £5 and leave with like 50 tapes in a massive rucksack. It was mental. It was cool. It was cool. It was cool though, because I got to experience so many new films that I wouldn't necessarily see. Like, you go into a charity shop and you find the weirdest films on video, like this one, which is the Warner Brothers Elite Collection, starring Robin Williams, The World According to Garp. Now, I looked at this cover, and as you can see here, he's in a wrestling outfit, and on the back cover he kind of looks a bit like, But oh, that was horrible, I'm sorry. But he kind of looks like a bit special, and I thought it was him playing a mentally disabled person, so I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. Sounds bad, I know, but I mean, I thought that could be cool. And you've got him and his mother there, and it looks like she's trying to teach him something and he doesn't understand. I completely misread it, watched the film, and I absolutely loved it. It's nothing like that at all. It is based on the novel by John Irving, one of America's greatest authors. Not that I've read any of his books, particularly this one, which I should read. And it follows the life of T.S. Garp, played by Robin Williams mostly, but we see him from when he's a baby to when he grows up to be a teenager and a man who has his own family, and we see his whole life. And it's a really great kind of biopic, a fictional biopic, and it's just brilliant. Glenn Close is in this, and she plays Jenny Fields, who's Garp's mother, and she kind of this is where the film starts to get like a bit weird. We find out that she has raped a soldier who was on his deathbed when she was a nurse for the army, because she wanted a child but she didn't want a man, and she's asexual. She has no interest in sex whatsoever, and that's kind of another theme throughout the film, and how she's very intrigued by lust because she doesn't feel lust at all. But the way that it's explained that she's raped this man, they kind of make light of it, which you shouldn't really, but I mean, you know, it is a film or a story, and the way she tells it is kind of like, you know, she she got on top of this guy and he just said good. So, you know, they kind of counterbalance some of the more darker stuff, I guess, with a bit of humour, and it works, and it's not, you know, they get away with it. And basically Garp wants to be a writer. He becomes a writer, and he meets this girl in high school, and they get together, and they get married, and they have kids. And before that he goes to New York to be a writer, you know, the cliche, and his mum goes with him, and she writes a book too, and she writes this big book about her whole life, and it's called Sexual Suspect, and it's about not only her life but how she views sex and lust and so on. There's a very awkward scene where she kind of buys her son a prostitute, you know, just because she like sits them down in a diner, the prostitute and her son, and she's like, do you want to have sex with this woman? You know, and she's just interested in lust and all that. It's weird. And her book a sexual suspect just goes huge, it's massive, whereas Garp's book is, you know, flounders, and that frustrates him because he feels like he's a great writer and his mum just kind of wrote something that was, you know, it came out at the right time. But the only downside is that Jenny Fields now is a target of people who want to kill her, because some people were outraged at what she wrote. So she moves back to the house that she lived in with her parents, this awesome house near the sea, and she kind of opens up a kind of refuge for like women who have problems. And there's this society there, I'm going into too much detail, but there's a society there called the Ellen James Society, who are women who have cut their tongues off in protest of a girl called Ellen James who was raped by multiple men when she was 12 years old, and they cut her tongue off. Now Ellen James herself sends a letter to Jenny Fields and says, please make them stop. I don't want these girls going around cutting their tongues off to protest what happened to me. And Robin Williams' character, Garp, also finds this disgusting. He hates the fact that women are going around doing this, and so he gets himself, you know, he gets all the female community, you know, getting mad at him now, and that's like one side of the story. I mean, the other side is his family and his life and how much he appreciates life, and you know, there's a lot of great quotes in this film that are mainly kind of related to like life and how you deal with life and death, and that's something that I'm really like morbidly interested in, is death and mortality. I think about it all the time, and it bugs me a lot, you know, and I can't get my head around it sometimes. And that's kind of like Garp in a lot of ways. He thinks about death a lot, and about life, and he writes about it. And I find that interesting. And there's a great quote near the beginning of the film when Garp, as a child, goes to his first funeral. And his mother pulls him aside and she says, you know, everybody dies. My parents died, your father died, everybody dies. I'm going to die too, and so will you. The thing is to have a life before we die. It can be a real adventure, having a life. And that's just a quote I really like. And there's another one where he's sitting down with his kids later on in the film, and he kind of just says, you know, I'm living life today, I'm enjoying it, you know, that kind of thing. It's brilliant. And there's John Lithgow is in this film, and he stars as a transsexual woman called Roberta, and she's at the refuge with Jenny Fields, and her and Garp kind of become best friends. It's just a really sweet. At first you see John Lithgow and you kind of think that's weird because he's got this wig on and stuff. He just plays it so straight, so down to earth, just a nice woman, you know, transsexual, and you know, something about the characters really gets me. There's not too much depth in it, you know, and the character doesn't go anywhere. Like, there's no real arc to Roberta's character. She's just kind of there, but she kind of, you know, becomes friends with the family, and it's just a really sweet character. And I thought John Lithgow was amazing because of how straight he played it, and it was so believable, you know. The woman who plays Garp's wife is great too, and you know, and then there's a lot of tragedies throughout the film, and it's almost like a bit like unrealistic at a lot of times, and it's a brilliant scene. And if you're going to watch this film, which I recommend you should because it's awesome, if you're going to see this film and you don't want to get spoiled about too many things, although I've pretty much told you almost everything, then don't listen for about 20 seconds, I'd say. There's a great scene where Garp and his wife are about to buy this house, and a plane just flies straight through the house. And Garp's like, it's brilliant, we'll take it. And his wife's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, we've been pre-disastered. The chances of a plane flying into this house are astronomical. You know, a plane is going to fly into the house twice. And the guy who's in the plane just gets out and he's like, oh, hey, can I use your phone? It's a really funny film. I love it. And it just... seeing someone's life, you know, as it progresses, and the troubles in marriage, and you know, there's so many issues, you know, like gender issues, feminism issues, mortality issues. I'm making it sound like it's a bit too thick. It isn't really, but there's just a lot crammed in, but it feels realistic and you can relate to it, even though there's some bits of like hyper reality kind of like humor going on, like the bit I just mentioned. But I really do enjoy it a lot. I think the only thing that stops me from giving it a 10 is there's a few funny lines in there where I'm kind of like, And Connie was kind of half watching it, and she was like, did he just say that? You know. But it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. I think it's a very, very underrated film because no one talks about it. I've never heard of it before. I've never heard of anyone who's ever watched it. You know, I'm sure there are loads of people who've watched it, but you know, in the past 3 years, I can't think of anyone. And it was really cool watching this on VHS. I don't know why, it was just cool. The quality wasn't great, but I really enjoyed that. And it felt kind of fitting because VHS was kind of what I grew up on. You know, that's what started my love of film. So to do this for the 250th episode, I think is pretty cool, actually. So, The World According to Garp, I give it 9.5 out of 10. Almost a 10 for me. I think it's great. Robin Williams is awesome, a young Robin Williams. Glenn Close is great. John Lithgow is great. The last two were actually nominated for Oscars for this film. So again, I don't know why it isn't talked about more. I wish it could come out on Blu-ray. I doubt it ever will. And the DVD is quite hard to come by. So that's another reason why I kind of chose this film to watch as the VHS episode, if you will. Really love this film. And I look forward to watching it again and again. It's just it's a brilliant life story. You know, it reminds me a bit of like Forrest Gump. You know, like seeing someone's life. Although I would say Forrest Gump is better than this, but this is definitely a one to watch if you haven't seen it. So check it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you. Well, I'll see you with the next 115 episodes. But you know, I look forward to 300, and I'll try and figure out something special to do for that episode too. So thanks for watching.